Ji, Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Hashim Badar. Welcome to the special interest group session on cybersecurity. This is the seventh in a series of 6 sessions that we have. We conduct these technology sessions in AI, cloud, IoT, and cybersecurity. I'll be your host for the day. Today we are having with us Dr. Atta Rehman Khan, who is an associate professor at Ajman University, and he will be sharing with us on cyber warfare. Couple of housekeeping rules. We have a question and answer session at the end of Dr. Taur Rahman's talk. So if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to join. The agenda for today's talk is we'll be having with us Dr. Arshad Ali, who is the president of SPINN Labs and formerly the executive director of Higher Education Commission. Dr. Arshad will be sharing with us some of the opening remarks on the innovation activities that are happening at SPINN Labs. After this, we'll move to Dr. Taur Rahman, and then we'll have the open discussion forum. So with this, I'll hand it over to Dr. Arshad Ali.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is a regular session we are having, and I'm thankful to Hashim for arranging this activity, and it is gaining momentum over the period. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Atta. Very nice to have you after some time. Once we used to discuss about setting up the center at Air University. So it is very nice to see you and meet you over here. Cybersecurity, as you all know, has become one of the central technology now. No matter what you do, it has to be taken into account. And the growth in the importance and the role it is playing in the technology, it is very important that as a country, we get expertise, and there are enormous amount of opportunities which are available not only in Pakistan but around the globe. And our universities need to be well prepared in order to benefit from this challenge, and for the students as well as the young professionals. SPINN Lab is there to help and work with you in order to promote the technology, help get certifications, and then create opportunities for practicing the technology. And Dr. Atta, we would be very much willing to support you in establishing Center of Expertise under SPINN Lab program. Hashim will be sharing what all Center of Expertise opportunities are there for university students as well as faculty. I'm sure it will help your students and the faculty to benefit from the opportunity. Over to Hashim for taking it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arshad. With this, we'll move over to Dr. Taur Rahman Khan to share with us his thoughts on cyber warfare, catching the unprepared. Dr. Sab, you can start sharing your screen.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. The title of my talk is Cyber Warfare, Catching the Unprepared. I'm Dr. Atta Rahman Khan, and I'm currently working as an associate professor at the College of Engineering and IT, Ajman University. In the past, I have worked for like 7 different universities, including Comsets University, Air University, Kartaba University, King Saud University, Saudi Arabia, Sahara University, Oman, and so on and so forth. I was also the founding director of Pakistan's National Cybercrime Forensics Lab, and I was also the director of Air University Cybersecurity Center. As far as my research experience is concerned, I'm currently serving on the editorial boards of like 8 journals from different publishers, including Elsewhere, Springer, IEEE, Oxford, and so on. I have roughly around 70 research publications, including 40 plus journal publications in different areas, including cybersecurity, IoT, um, networks, mobile computing, distributed computing, cloud computing, etc. So I'll be discussing about the motives behind cyber attacks. What exactly can the cyber attacks do? Um, Examples of some cyber attacks. Then I'll be discussing different warfare domains, and then a very focused area, that is attacks on air-gapped computers and networks, and how are different nations preparing for different attacks. So first of all, we need to understand that information security is not a new challenge. First image shows a Scuttley, that is a device that was used for security of information. Then we have a book from Al-Kindi called Risala fi Istikhraj al-Muamma. Then we have a US Army cylindrical cipher device that was used from 1922 to 1945, and this was actually securing different messages with the help of codes. And on the rightmost side, we have a device called Enigma machine that was used for securing messages during World War II. As we all know, that internet has grown in the past few decades. In 1997, roughly about 1.7% of the world population was having internet access. Then in 2007, 20% of the world population got internet access. Then in 2017, 54.4% of the population was having internet access. And in 2021, roughly 65.6% of the population is having internet connectivity, which is 5,168 billion people. With the growth in internet, now everything is connected to the internet. You might have heard of IoT. Even nowadays, almost everything is connected to the internet, may it be our cell phones, our smartwatches, our refrigerators, microwaves, washing machines. So everything is connected to the internet. Now, when everything is connected to the internet, this poses a challenge that anyone can access these devices from anywhere because they are connected to the internet. And anyone having access to the internet can actually have access to these devices as well. Now, the problem is that we have something called critical infrastructure. What exactly is critical infrastructure? Critical infrastructure refers to all the sectors that are really important for the operation of any country, right? May it be the energy sector, the food and agriculture, the finance, our dams, different commercial facilities, different healthcare departments, and our hospitals, transportation systems. So if we take out any one of these sectors, these critical infrastructures, any country can collapse within days, right? So it is really important to secure all these areas, and any country cannot survive if we take down even one specific sector. For example, let's assume about energy, right? Now, if our grids are down, nothing will be operational, not our banking sector, not our hospitals. So it is really important to look into the security of each and every sector. What exactly are the motives behind cyber attacks? We have multiple motives. For example, people might be interested to steal the information or leak the information for specific purpose. They might be interested to disrupt the services. make a specific point. For example, they can deface different websites and leave, their messages, and then it can unfortunately make to the news, and everybody will know about it. Sometimes the motive is just to gain monetary benefits. Sometimes it's political, and sometimes these attacks are actually sponsored by the state itself, although they don't take any responsibility for these attacks, but they are actually sponsored by the states. So why exactly are the cyber attacks easy to conduct? Because it takes very little cost, and they are very easier to conduct, considering the traditional operations or traditional attacks. For example, if you have to take down a specific facility, it will take a lot of resources, a lot of planning to send army troops or specialized people to conduct that operation. But on the other hand, it's very easy to just hack that facility and do whatever you want. So they cost little. Not always, but most of the times, it is very easier to conduct. And the most important point is deniability. So if any specific country hacks, facilities in another country, later on they can easily deny that they have not done anything, because it's not very easy to track the actual sources. We have so many ways to hide the attacking source, and countries can easily deny from the attacks that are actually occurring on different facilities. Last but not the least, there are far less consequences, because if you send your fighter jet to another country to conduct any operation, that country might retaliate with the same force using the same equipment. But we have seen that in terms of cyber attacks, usually there are less consequences, and the other countries at max will also conduct a cyber attack rather than sending real army troops. But this is not always. We have seen in the past that some of the buildings in a specific country were actually destroyed by another country, stating that they were actually conducting cyber operations from that specific building, and they actually bombed that building. So what exactly can cyber attacks do? They can cause financial loss, they can cause life and property loss, they can cause information loss. They can, help us achieve a specific goal, for example, rig elections, and, help a specific candidate to get appointed in that specific country as a president. Um, they can also disable alarms and defense capabilities, and sometimes they can actually spread chaos. So these are actually the destroying factors that can actually occur due to cyber attacks. Now, these are some of the examples of the cyber attacks, just to give you an idea, how bad things can get. For example, a water supply pipeline was actually attacked. It was hacked, and it was then poisoned by increasing the amount of sodium hydroxide to dangerous levels. Uh, in another example, a TV channel was actually blocked from airing its content. Then another example, a university was actually forced to close for one day by hacking all their important systems. Um, Hotel guests were actually locked in their rooms, and the hackers were actually demanding for ransom money. And once the ransom money was paid, only then the hackers actually unlocked the guests. Major fuel pipeline were blocked. Different attacks were actually conducted. And now the problem is that when you block different fuel pipelines, it can not only disrupt the services, but due to building of pressure in the pipelines, casualties can also occur, and not only property damage will occur, but humans will also lose their lives. A flood control dam was actually attacked, and you know if a flood control dam is inactive and any flood occurs, then definitely it can cause property and human loss. A nuclear facility was actually attacked, and this is a very dangerous thing to happen, because if a nuclear facility is attacked and it is destroyed by just increasing pressure in specific portions of the facility, or by disabling the heat control systems of a facility, nuclear matter can actually be released from those facilities. And once that happens, different countries have to evacuate, whole cities, and those cities will not be livable for like hundreds of years. Then we have stock exchanges. So different stock exchanges and banks were attacked, and banks have actually lost millions of dollars due to these attacks. Mobile phones of government and military officials were hacked to steal information, and then later on use that information from blackmailing. You might have, heard about different scandals about politicians. Now, imagine if someone get their hands on those specific videos, audios, and images, they can actually blackmail them to do anything. May it be taking pictures of some secret facility, may it be, releasing some confidential information, may it be forcing them to sign specific, deals with the government and different bodies. Now, we need to understand that we have different warfare domains. In the start, humans started to fight on land. Then they said, okay, fine, let's move, to the sea. Then they started to fight in the sea. Then we moved to air. Then we moved to space, and now we have moved to cyberspace. So cyberspace is actually one of the most important warfare domains, and nowadays the other warfare domains are comparatively less important compared to the importance of cyber warfare. Because as I've already mentioned earlier, nowadays there is no need to send your troops to attack on a specific country, considering the defense systems, considering the distances and other things. But in the cyber warfare domain, things can be done far more easily. So the countries actually need to realize the importance of this domain and then plan things accordingly. What is the impact of technology in advancement? We have seen drones, unmanned drones, that are actually being controlled from a distance, and different operations are actually performed. Um, I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but recently in the US, they conducted, a kind of competition between the real pilots and between the AI. And almost in all the sessions, the AI was found to be superior compared to the human pilots. Now USA is actively working on creating jets. Those will be powered by AI, and the humans won't have to do anything. When they'll be in the dogfight, the AI will actually take control, and we already have drones. So in the near future, the those combat jets will be flown by the AI. They will be used to perform the operations with the help of AI. They will land on their own. So they would be more or less totally autonomous. We have also seen unmanned submarines. Now, when we have different um, submarines, drones, and combat jets, which are actually unmanned, their security becomes really, really, really important. We have seen in the past that some of the drones were actually hacked, and then they were actually forced to land in a specific country. These are the things that actually scare us. Although these things are actually far more technologically advanced, but we also need to take a good care of the security aspects of these vehicles. Otherwise, if they get into wrong hands, then the countries won't be having any justification for this. Let's suppose that there is an autonomous combat jet, and another country or a group of hackers actually hacks that jet and use it to conduct operation in another country. Then things will become unjustifiable. So the security is really, really important aspect, not only in these aspects, but I have already mentioned about the critical infrastructure. So security is really important in all aspects. Now, this is a very focused area. Um, I was actually asked to discuss one specific focused area where different people from the universities can actually um, use it for research, or maybe they can use their students to dig into in these areas to um, do some research or something. So, first of all, we need to understand what exactly are air-gapped computers or networks. Air-gapped computers or networks are actually those computers that are not connected to the unsecure network, or those are actually kept separate from the main network. And the main reason for doing this is that we don't trust um, the networks, right? There is always possibility of hacking. So instead of connecting those computers, those networks to the main networks, to the public networks, to the unsecure networks, it is a good idea to don't connect those computers because of the information sensitivity, because of the controls that these computers have. We just keep them separate, right? But the point is that if we have air-gapped computers or air-gapped networks, are they really secure? And the answer is simply no, right? We have different covert channels that can be used to attack on air-gapped computers and networks. For example, we have USB thumb drives. Once we plug in those USB thumb drives into computers, they can actually generate RF signals. And if there is another device in the nearby vicinity, they can actually sense these signals and receive the information that is being generated. Then we have computers which actually generate GSM, UMTS, or LTE frequencies. They actually do not connect to the cellular networks, but they actually use these frequencies for the transmission. And if there is a suitable device in the vicinity, they can actually receive the information using these frequencies. Then we have some examples where the computers can actually use audio. The speakers will be actually generating audio that will not be hearable by the humans, but specialized mics can actually pick up that sound, and in this way the communications can be performed. So your computer might be generating a sound, you will not be hearing it, but those specialized mics will actually be hearing those sounds. So if any information needs to be transferred, that information can be transferred using the audio. Then we have mobile phones and computers that actually communicate with each other using FM radio signals. This again is a very important area. Um, in some cases, what we can do is that um, the computer screen will actually show some concealed information which will not be visible to the human eye. It might be just some animation or something like that. So the humans might not actually notice it, but if you have a camera and the camera takes a picture of the screen or a recording of the screen, that can be later on used to retrieve the information from the captured images and videos. Then we have another kind of attack in which what we do is that the computers actually these computers are actually already infected by some malware. So these computers will actually transmit data to. I'm hearing some sound in the background. Can you please mute the mic? Um, Mr. Asif? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So what these computers will do that they will actually transmit data to the cameras, surveillance cameras, and as we know, these surveillance cameras have IR sensors, right? So the computers will actually send data to the cameras, and the cameras will be transmitting this data using IR signals. So if we have another device in the vicinity, we can actually sense that data from the IR sensors of those cameras. Then we have another type of attack in which we use heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems for controlling thermal signals. For example, if you have already infected a computer and now you want to have access to that computer to pass it a specific signal to perform something, and you don't have any access to it because of the physical facility, because of the air gap or whatever the reason is, right? Now, if we get access to the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system directly, or in some cases, what we do is that we don't gain access to those systems directly, but we actually ship a device to that specific facility which is having internet connectivity. And such kind of attacks were actually being used in the past as well, where the hackers actually shipped internet enabled device, and that device was placed in the mail room in order to be delivered to the receiver the next day or whatever the reason was. And then from there, the hackers actually hacked into their network, right? So you just ship your internet-enabled device, which will be placed there for some reason to be delivered the next day. And then using your internet connectivity, you can hack into the Wi-Fi network of those organizations and then do whatever you want, right? So whatever the way is, once you get control to these systems, you can actually control the temperature, right? Let's say that you have programmed the malware to receive a specific code, let's say 010, right? Now for that 010, you have done programming that if the temperature falls like 3 degrees or 4 degrees, you consider it zero. Then again, when it increases to a specific level, you consider it one. Then again, you consider it zero. In this way, a code or a command can be easily passed to the compromised machine just using the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. So these are the ways in which different hackers, different organizations, different state-sponsored bodies are actually thinking of gaining access to air-gapped networks and computers. Then we have another kind of attack in which a mobile phone camera will actually read the blinking screen of a computer, right? Now, the humans might not notice it very easily because these things can be easily controlled through a refresh rate of the screen. But the cell phone cameras, if it has the required capability, it will actually capture that specific flickering pattern, and it can easily retrieve information from any compromised computer. Then we have another attack in which we actually sense the acoustic signal of the computer hard drives. The hard drives, when they actually write data or read data, they actually generate a specific kind of sounds, right? So we have seen that different security keys were actually retrieved from the sounds of the hard drives, and then later on used to compromise those systems. So this is also one of the ways of gaining access to air-gapped computers and networks. Then we have another attack in which we actually can use electromagnetic field. We can actually sense that and then retrieve the information. For example, the GPUs that we use, they actually generate a specific electromagnetic field, and if you have the required equipment, you can actually sense that electromagnetic field, and with that you can actually retrieve the information from a computer that is actually emitting it. Last but not the least, in this kind of attack, different computers actually communicate with one another using thermal signals, and we call them thermal pings, right? So if two computers are placed very close to each other, one computer can actually sense the temperature of another computer, right? And they can actually pass commands or transmit data by sensing the temperature of one another. I've already given you one example in which we were actually controlling the air conditioning system. So more or less it works in the same way. But in this case, the computers are actually controlling their own temperature just to transmit the required information. So how exactly are the developed nations preparing? Different cybersecurity contents are embedded in curriculums, even at school and college level. In Pakistan, we have seen that new degree programs are now launched at the BS level. Different countries are actually recruiting people from the schools and the colleges even, right? By checking their different capabilities. So they are doing the selection at the school and college level, and then they are training them for many years, right, in order to make them capable for the required cyber defense or cyber attack, capabilities, whatever they are planning to do. And then they recruit these people in their cyber armies. So different countries now have their own cyber cells, their own cyber armies. And when we talk about cyber armies, these people are in thousands, right? 60,000, 70,000, right? So this is not just a small number, you know. Um, even if you get hands on one or two good hackers, they can be quite disastrous, right? Now imagine where you have complete armies doing the same thing for you. What else we need to do? We need to improve our procurement processes, right? The problem is that although you might apply all the required security controls to mitigate different kinds of security risk, but if the hardware itself is not secure, then it doesn't matter what kind of security controls you apply on the software level, they will simply fail, right? So we need to improve our procurement process. We need to either rely on our own hardware if we are manufacturing any. If we are not manufacturing our own hardware, then we need to rely on the authorized dealers or buy directly from the manufacturers, right? I have seen it personally, right? That very I would say sensitive organizations have purchased equipment from normal stores, from normal shops, right? Now, what guarantee do you have that anyone has not tampered with those devices? May it be a keyboard, may it be a motherboard, may it be any other device. So, okay, so whatever the devices are, we need to be sure that the hardware is actually secure, because if the hardware is not secure, everything will fall. Then the countries are actually making futuristic visions and plans, right? Unfortunately, many countries are not doing this at the moment, but again, we have some countries which have actively work on their plans, on their vision. So what the countries did is that they planned like 10 years ago that in the next 5 or 10 years, we need to be at specific number in the world, right? And in order to reach that specific rank in the world, what do we need to do? We need to, start our own security companies. We need to bring in different security firms into our country by giving them some perks. And this is how now we have some countries which are known as the best one in the world for security, right? I'm not naming any countries in this presentation, but you can easily guess those countries or just Google them. Then we have computer emergency response teams. We have also deployed them in order to respond to different attacks on our critical infrastructure. So in conclusion, cyber attacks are increasing with the passage of time. We need to, this is also actually increasing the demand for cybersecurity. So we need to prioritize development in this sector. And the alarming point is that all our critical infrastructure or organization are at greater risk, especially at the at Pakistan level. We are not caring much about the security, right? We are giving it importance nowadays, but still, I have personally seen different banks, different organizations which are very sensitive in terms of information, and still they have not received the required level of attention in terms of security. Um, so we need to prepare ourselves for the cyber warfare, for the cyber wars in the near future. And I have already explained why will they happen and what's the importance of these attacks. We need for these attacks in advance. That was all. If you have any questions, I'm ready to take those questions down. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rehman. This was just like yesterday, very comprehensive and excellent examples, I would say, to make sense of the threats in cybersecurity. Also, I would like to really thank you for making time today. I know it was tough for your schedule, so thanks again. I'll go ahead and go through the participants that we have. I'll take your name and maybe if you can introduce yourself, and then if you have any comment and question, you're welcome to ask Dr. Atta Rehman. So first, I see we have Dr. Hassan Jamil. So would you care to unmute and share with the audience? Dr. Hassan Jamil. Next, we have Dr. Salim Javed. Dr. Usama. Dr. Usama. Engineer Abdul Rehman.
Assalamu alaikum.
You are.
First of all, I would like to thank you for such a wonderful presentation. And let me introduce myself. I am assistant professor at software engineering department in Fast News Karachi. I have also worked in industry for like about 25 years. And I've also been engaged in the Ministry of Defense in the crypto division as well. So my interest, one of crypto is of my interest. And I have also developed applications in the network security area. So that was my brief introduction. And I hope I'll be joining these sessions, inshallah, soon. Today I got late, but due to weather, I joined late over here. But inshallah, I'll try to cope up with the schedule, and inshallah, I'll be here. Dr. Arshad, I think, was in the meeting earlier. I don't know. He's from the NUST, and he knows me. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the great introduction. And yes, you're welcome. Join us in the future sessions. आज के इस session की recording भी available होगी. So if there's anything that you missed, you can always take a listen to it on our website as well as on the YouTube channel.
Thank you so much. And can you please share the link of that channel so that I can?
Yes. Ahmed Jafar will paste the URL in the chat window.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Engineer Asif Rafiq.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Engineer Asif Rafiq from DHS Super University, and I'm a senior lecturer there in Computer Science Department. And also, it's also my core subject. I'm teaching computer networks and information security. So I think it's a very beautiful explanation and all these things from Dr. Saab. And we would like to have further sessions like this in future as well. And I'm also a member of Security Association Pakistan group. Mr. Amar Jafri Saab, and he's leading the group, and he's doing very well job these days. Actually, as you have discussed, that we need to cope up with the world's security standards. So for that, he is also doing very well job. And we actually, it's very real thing which is required for our country these days. So inshallah, will we cope up with this challenges in future. And but just this is from my side. And inshallah, actually I got connected late in this. I joined very late in this session, and also I will require this recording will be shared later. Thank you.
Yes, certainly we can share the recording. The recording links is sent out in the emails. Plus, they're always available on the YouTube as well as the website versions. Jafar will be sharing them in the URL of the YouTube channel in the chat window.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Next, we have Habil Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum, Doctor. I actually joined late, so I do not have any question for the time being. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you for joining. Next, we have Hafiz Gulfan Ahmed Umar. Next, we have Junaid, Secure Vision. Junaid, Secure Vision. Muzammil Maqsood.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji, walaikum assalam.
I am Muzammil. I am a faculty member at DHA Sofa University. Basically, Dr. साहब आपका जो सेशन था वो was quite informative, लेकिन एक सवाल जो मुझे काफ़ी प्रॉब्लमेटिक लगता है ये है कि जैसे हम लोग दुनिया भर में हम लोग पाकिस्तानी हैं, लेकिन हम लोग अपनी कोई चीज़ ऐसी इन्वेंट नहीं कर रहे जिसकी वजह से साइबर अटैक्स के कुछ हद तक कम हो जाए। मतलब मेरा जो मकसद है समझाने का वो यही है, जैसे फेसबुक है, अब वो फेसबुक अगर मैं चाइना के हवाले से बात करता हूँ या गूगल एक है मेरे पास, तो वो चाइना अपना अलग बना चुका है, तो उस हवाले से बहुत ज़्यादा शेयरिंग ऑफ डेटा लिमिटेड हो जाता है। लेकिन कंपैरिजन में हम लोग पाकिस्तानी बीइंग मतलब कोई चीज़ नई इन्वेंट नहीं कर रहे और हम लोग रिलाय कर रहे हैं दूसरे कंट्रीज पे, तो व्हाट आर द चांसेस कि जिसकी वजह से हमारे साइबर अटैक्स हम पे ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम कम हो सकें और वी कैन एक्सेल एज अ गुड नेशन। थैंक यू।
अच्छा जी, बात ये है कि आपने जो क्वेश्चन किए इसके असल में दो एस्पेक्ट्स हैं। एक तो हम न्यू इन्वेंशंस की बात कर रहे हैं और दूसरी हम बात कर रहे हैं सिक्योरिटी की, ठीक है। तो अगर हम अपने कोई प्लेटफॉर्म्स, अपनी कोई एप्लीकेशंस बना लेंगे, इसका ये मतलब नहीं होगा कि हमारी सिक्योरिटी जो है वो इम्प्रूव हो जाएगी, इसकी गारंटी कोई नहीं है, ठीक है। हो सकता है कि हम अगर अपना कोई रेप्लिका बना लें फेसबुक का, उसकी सिक्योरिटी कम हो ओरिजिनल फेसबुक से, ठीक है। तो इस बात को तो एक डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स में डिस्कस करने की ज़रूरत है कि क्या हमारी सिक्योरिटी इम्प्रूव होगी या उल्टा जो है वो काम ख़राब हो जाएगा, ठीक है। दूसरी जो बात है कि हम अपनी चीज़ें कोई इन्वेंट नहीं कर रहे हम पाकिस्तानी, ये बात असल में पूरी तरह से ठीक नहीं है। हम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जो कर रहे हैं वो हम बाकी कंट्रीज़ में बैठ के कर रहे हैं, पाकिस्तान में भी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ है, जिस तरह का एनवायरनमेंट चाहिए होता है, वो हमें नहीं मिल पाता, ठीक है। जो बाकी कंट्रीज़ में हम वही काम बैठ के अगर करना चाहें तो ईज़िली हो जाता है और हमें वो हर्डल्स फेस करने की ज़रूरत नहीं होती जो कि हमें पाकिस्तान में बैठ के करते वक्त होती है। बात नहीं करनी चाहिए, लेकिन आप सिर्फ आसपास ही देख लें कितने कॉम्पिटेंट पाकिस्तानी हैं जो कि पाकिस्तान आए, सर्व करने की कोशिश की, लेकिन नहीं कर पाए और फिर उन्हें वापस छोड़ के जो है वो जाना पड़ा। तो क्या हमने उन रीज़न्स पे गौर करने की कोशिश की है कि क्या ऐसी रीज़न्स हैं कि अच्छे अच्छे लोग हमारे पास आते हैं पाकिस्तान में और फिर से छोड़ के चले जाते हैं? तो जब तक हम एनवायरनमेंट ठीक नहीं करेंगे, उन चीज़ों पे काम नहीं करेंगे, तो ये आप भूल जाएं कि आपके पास कोई अच्छे लोग आएंगे और वहाँ पे बैठ के काम करेंगे। कॉम्पिटेंट पाकिस्तानियों की कोई कमी नहीं है, पूरी दुनिया में अपना नाम बना चुके हैं और बना रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या ऐसी रीज़न है कि पाकिस्तान में जब आते हैं तो वो कुछ भी नहीं कर पाते? तो जब तक हम उनको वो माहौल नहीं देंगे, अनफॉर्चुनेटली कुछ भी नहीं हो सकेगा। तो पहले माहौल बनाना पड़ेगा, ऐसी पॉलिसीज़ बनानी पड़ेंगी, ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस बनानी पड़ेंगी जो कि इन चीज़ों पे काम कर सके। पहले आप वो एनवायरनमेंट देंगे, उसके बाद फिर आप एक्सपेक्ट करें कि पाकिस्तानी वाकई में ऐसा कुछ कर सकेंगे जो कि पूरी दुनिया में वो चीज़ मानी जाए।
Thank you, Dr. Atta. And just
Thank
to
you,
add,
sir.
just to add to what Muzammil Sahab was asking, you're very spot on कि पाकिस्तान में कैसे ये प्रोडक्ट्स बनाए जाएं. We at SPS, so there are three different levels. एक तो होता है कि you have an idea, you have a concept. उस आइडिया को फिर एक प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट करना. I'm specifically talking to new products, and जैसे डॉक्टर खान ने बताया, it obviously doesn't guarantee कि it will help you secure. But in the context of a cybersecurity product itself, अगर कोई आपने ऐसा प्रोडक्ट बनाना है तो it is generally looked at in three levels. पहली स्टेज पे आपका आइडिया या कॉन्सेप्ट है, you have been working in the, let's say, cybersecurity field in academia or industry. The second step is कि एक well-engineered product है, where you convert your idea, you use thoughtful engineering and come up with this really nicely engineered product. But there is a third level also, which is a global industry solution. And in order to go to that level, where people from Pakistan, and rightfully so, जैसे Dr. Atta ने mentioned किया, they're very competent people, and it's just that वो जो एक ecosystem और environment या वो जो एक roadmap थोड़ा missing नजर आता है. So that's why we're not able to build these global industry solutions. Our team here, we recognize this problem. In fact, every one of us knows that this problem exists. And I'll quickly share my screen and share with you as to what we are sort of planning to do. अगर आप मेरी screen देख सकें तो we have came up with this new product development series where we have partnered up with, actually that's an idea developed by a couple of industry veterans, जिनमें एक तो there are three guys. We have Salahuddin. ये अगर आप नैपटेक जानते हो, नैपटेक जिन्होंने गाड़ियों का पहली दफा दुनिया में नेविगेशन सिस्टम बनाया था यूएस में, तो Salahuddin was a part of that team. Then we have Imran. He's also Pakistani and very accomplished, and he has been in very advanced labs in the US. So we are launching this initiative on new product development where एक faculty और student को उस methodology से रोशनास करवाया जाए जिसको use करके वो एक ऐसा product बना सकते हैं which can become not just a good engineered solution but a global industry solution. पाकिस्तान में किस जमाने में सोहराब साइकिल होती थी, which was a success story, लेकिन वो सोहराब पाकिस्तान में ही रह गई. I mean, a rudimentary example, but in terms of technology, आपको पहले technology भी आनी चाहिए. You need to understand कि productization कैसे होती है. If there's, for example, hardware involved, तो hardware का मैंने prototype बनाना है, मैं उसके लिए injection molding use करूँगा, CNC use करूँगा, cost benefit क्या होगा, a lot of things come into the play, materials क्या होंगे, form factor and so on. So we will be having these series of seminars where we'll speak on three parts, और उसके अंदर there will be a technology part जिसको इमरान lead कर रहे हैं, and there is a productization part जिसको Salahuddin lead करेंगे, and once you have a solution, there is a lot of intellectual property, a lot of contractual and legal aspects that come into play. And it is very important if you want to make that product a global product, you understand those situations, those caveats also. So Louise will be helping us in the contractual part. Imran is also launching a competition. So there will be a theoretical seminars happening over a certain time period. And then there will be a competition where there will be an opportunity to develop such a product using the learning that will be given in those seminars. और इस competition में we've chosen the use case of an educational robot, and इसको Imran will be funding this for rupees 1 million for the winner, and there are a couple of prizes for the runners-up. तो जो आप Dr. Atta और Muzammil आपने जो mention किया, so I thought this could be relevant, and if there is, if you feel this is something you will be interested in, so please do reach out to us. These seminars we're planning, we're working with the universities. Salahuddin abhi Pakistan aaye hue the. We had meetings with universities in Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. If your institution is interested, I can connect you with these guys also. So with this, I think.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Sure. We have Shahid Khan. Would you care to introduce yourself, sir, and if you have any questions for Dr. Atta? All right. With this, I would like to thank Dr. Atta Rehman for, first of all, for your availability, sir. This was an excellent session, very informative and very comprehensive. specifically the part where you spoke about the air gap information systems. So that's a very critical area. And just तरह आपने बताया, I don't think there is a reason to believe कि वो systems किसी भी तरीके से secure होते हैं. And that could be a nice area for research. I see there's a hands up. Engineer Asif Rafi.
सर मैं डॉक्टर साहब से एक सवाल ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ क्योंकि हम लोग जो है हमारे पास जो सोफा यूनिवर्सिटी में वी आर in a phase to launch BS cyber security program. तो उस हवाले से थोड़ा सा कुछ पूछना चाह रहे हैं कि ये जो प्रोग्राम हम लॉन्च कर रहे हैं बेसिकली, तो क्योंकि अभी तक जो है वो आपको पता है कि MS के अंदर तो साइबर सिक्योरिटी है, लेकिन BS के हवाले से कुछ लिमिटेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस या इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं हमारे पास जो कि इसके ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं. तो इसके ऊपर आप कोई हमें एडवाइस कर सकें अगर.
जी बिल्कुल, आपको अगर किसी टाइप की सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत हो तो उसके लिए मैं अवेलेबल हूँ. ऑल्दो काफ़ी बिज़ी होता हूँ मैं, लेकिन कोशिश मेरी पूरी होती है कि किसी तरीके से कम्युनिटी की अगर कोई सर्विस की जा सके तो उसके लिए कोशिश मेरी पूरी होती है कि किसी तरीके से मैं हेल्प कर सकूं. तो उसके लिए आप मुझे ईमेल कर सकते हैं, जो भी इश्यूज होंगे वो डिस्कस कर लेंगे. बाय द वे, पाकिस्तान का जो पहला साइबर सिक्योरिटी प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया था वो बेसिकली एयर यूनिवर्सिटी ने किया था और वो मैंने ही डिज़ाइन किया था. तो मुझे पता है कि कुछ इश्यूज हैं हमारे पास जो BS लेवल के जो सिक्योरिटी प्रोग्राम्स हैं, कुछ नहीं बल्कि काफ़ी हैं. कल भी मैंने अपने एक सेशन में इसी चीज़ पे बात की थी कि प्रॉब्लम जो मेन है वो ये है कि HEC की तरफ से काफ़ी सारी कोर्सेज़ की रिक्वायरमेंट है, रिकमेंडेटरी कोर्सेज़ हैं कि ये आपने जो है वो पढ़ाने हैं. फिर वो कोर्सेज़ पढ़ाते हमारे पास टाइम बहुत थोड़ा रह जाता है कि हम जो एक्चुअल जो चीज़ हम डिलीवर करना चाह रहे हैं वो उसको हम ठीक तरीके से डिलीवर भी कर सकें. काफ़ी सारे कोर्सेज़ हैं, मैं कोर्सेज़ के नाम नहीं लूँगा, लेकिन जिस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है वो ये है कि HEC से डिस्कस करने की ज़रूरत है कि आप जो आपकी तरफ से जो रिक्वायरमेंट है जिन कोर्सेज़ की, उनको हमें कम से कम करना चाहिए. जो गैर ज़रूरी कोर्सेज़ हैं उन्हें हमें ख़त्म करने चाहिए और उसकी जगह फील्ड स्पेशलाइज्ड कोर्सेज़ जो हैं उनको डालने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि आपके पास मार्जिन बहुत थोड़ा रह जाता है कि हम कोर कोर्सेज़ पढ़ा सकें, क्योंकि सारा टाइम उसमें ही जो है वो निकल जाता है. तो जो ज़रूरी है, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि मतलब बिल्कुल ख़त्म करने चाहिए, जो इम्पोर्टेंट है उनको रखें, जो गैर ज़रूरी है उनको निकालें और उसकी जगह जिस चीज़ की स्पेशलाइजेशन आप करवा रहे हैं वो कोर्सेज़ ज़्यादा बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत है. फिर बात रहेगी मास्टर्स की और BS की. तो मास्टर्स के जो ट्रैक्स हैं वो तो हैं ही टोटली डिफरेंट. ठीक है, उसमें हम कुछ कोर्सेज पढ़ा देते हैं, लेकिन वहाँ पे ज़्यादा फोकस हमारा ये होता है कि आप रिसर्च करें. BS वालों से हम ये एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं रखते कि वो रिसर्च करेंगे, लेकिन एटलीस्ट उनके पास अगर गुड हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस आ जाए किसी तरीके से, वो डिफरेंट एरियाज़ को एक्सप्लोर कर लें, सर्टिफिकेशंस ले लें, तो वो इटसेल्फ जो है वो एक अच्छी अचीवमेंट होगी.
बहुत शुक्रिया डॉक्टर साहब, बहुत शुक्रिया, जज़ाकल्लाह. इंशाल्लाह ये कि आपसे जो है वो जिस तरह आपने कहा ना कि अवेलेबिलिटी, तो जाहिर सी बात है कि आपकी बहुत बिजी होंगे, लेकिन ये कि इंशाल्लाह आपसे जो है कोऑर्डिनेशन करेंगे. जज़ाकल्लाह. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
My pleasure.
So we are on top of the hour. I see there is one more question. जी Dr. Hassan Jamil.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम. बस मैं मिस कर गया, मेरा जब आपने नाम कॉल किया तो उस वक्त बैकग्राउंड में नॉइज ज्यादा थी, मैं माइक ऑन नहीं कर पाया. सेशन तो मैंने शुरू से स्टार्ट किया था. मैं थैंक्स करना चाह रहा था डॉक्टर अता रहमान साहब का, बहुत अच्छा सेशन था और थैंक यू वेरी मच. बस इसीलिए मैंने
Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you everyone for your time, and we really hope this was a useful spend of your time. The next session will be 4 weeks from now, so stay tuned and keep checking your emails. With this, we can close this session. And thank you for joining. Have a nice evening.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.